was told there's about 25 signatures that this really needs.
No.
Do you have the resolution?
Not really at all, didn't it?
I think they're actually.
They've already been executed by everything other than the signature itself. We needed on this one, and so once y'all approve it, it would just be signed by your mayor and attested by your city.
So do we have the resolution? So, did you have to do a resolution with the county? Yes, we did. So we need to have that.
No, there's one per,
City, each city did it.
I can go do one and bring it back.
But can we not just approve for the city attorney to?
It has to be
It doesn't only have to be submitted, but it needs to be read into our minutes, I think also, right? Probably.
Copy on the case will be if you want to see it.
Do you have the case will be in your packet, Marie?
Oh, okay, like the office, I just did this package. I'll be back in 15 minutes.
Okay. Do you need to borrow a computer here?
I can do that.
You're handy dandy, aren't you? Little Barbie short. That'll make it easier.
We can't hear what's being said.
Okay,
Are all those mics on? Sorry, we just can't hear back here.
yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I just couldn't hear Councilwoman Art very well.
Yes, with everybody, Harold, see if they can hear.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay,
job.
will you make a form of motion? Yeah, I'll make a motion, we table the resolution until the end of the meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Carter and Sloope task release number 13. This is the water meter replacement phase 4. $17,000. I have a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve Carter and Sloope task release number 13.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? LifeForce contract. The contract is the municipal site membership. It is $3,900.
There was someone that sent an email about this that actually, I don't know if anybody's read it, but they need to consider reading it and just.
Can't hear you.
We actually got an email regarding this. And, I don't know if y'all read it or not, but we may need to consider tabling this until next month.
Well, I read that letter. Certain health insurance companies will not pay for life care, helicopter flights and things like that. It's not in their policy. So if he was trying to cover it under his policy, it may not have been covered expense is what I think probably happened. And my fear was that we would let this run out and we might have somebody that had an ambulance trip. And I know from experience that I had two friends that have had 2 flights and they were $23,000 a piece. So I don't know that we want to run the risk of somebody not being able to be covered. That would put a big burden on our city residents if they had to cover an expense. Medicare does cover a portion of it, but I don't know that it covers the whole thing. I don't know if they have to write it down to a certain amount or whatever, but I think his was probably on his health insurance side, not so much on the life care. Had he had the policy, it would have paid the whole amount for him. So I'm going to encourage that you go ahead and do it because I think that a lot of our residents, $40,000 ambulance bill would be very hard. It's very hard on myself. So that's just my, anybody else have a comment about it? Anybody else read something different into it? Need a motion?
Renew the LifeForce contract.
Do I have a second? I'll second. All in favor? Electric shuttle bus ordinance. An ordinance to prohibit within the city of Blue Ridge, Georgia, any person from driving or operating a low-speed motor vehicle or golf cart upon the public ways of the city of Blue Ridge, Georgia, to provide exceptions regarding the operation or driving of a low-speed motor vehicle or golf cart as to the electric shuttle buses, lightweight commercial vehicles on certain streets, to provide definitions, to provide operation regulations for the permissive operation or driving as to the electric shuttle buses on certain streets, to provide penalties for the violations of this ordinance and for other purposes. I know it took David a little while to get this back to us, but I hope everybody had a chance to read through it. I know it came in, we've been waiting on something, so does anybody have any questions? I have a motion.
I make the motion, we go ahead and accept the first reading to the electric shuttle bus ordinance.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay. Leak detection, Becky had given us an estimate from MatchPoint, it was $14,000, and she's talked with a couple of different contractors, and we do need to move forward with leak detection. We do have money set aside in our water loss control account, and she's asking that we approve up to $14,000 to be paid to one of these contractors that she feels will probably do what we need. And so she kind of wanted to have the discretion as to which contractor she was using. MatchPoint is one of them, and Jeff Holloway is the other one, so I think she was going to compare and see how much she could get for that $14,000. She felt like she might be able to work more into the estimate. But she's just asking for a $14,000 approval.
I'll make a motion, we approve Becky $14,000 for leak detection and give her the discretion to pick the provider.
Thank you. A second, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay. Carter and Sloope, invoice number 22063, $15,171.25. This was the water upgrade on the other end of town, on the west end of town. I don't know if anybody knows what the other end of town is.
I'll make the motion, we approve Carter and Sloope invoice number 22063.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? EPD invoice DW-2017-003320, $7,610.
I'll make a motion to approve EPD invoice number DW-2017-003320.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Water treatment plant, and I'm the one that had actually added that. We are moving along at our water plant. Things are back in good working condition, but I'm going to ask that before we, I'm not asking for any motion or anything like that. I've asked Alex and Matt to be able to come to maybe our next council meeting so they can go over what's happened and what avenues we might need to pursue as to the cause or what they think is the cause. So I'll save that for the next meeting. That might be lengthy in itself, so I'm not really looking for a motion. Council meeting and charter.
I'll make a motion that I'll have some time to comment on council meeting charter.
Can't hear you.
I make a motion that, to allow some time for me to speak on the, council meeting and the charter.
Just you to speak, or everybody? Okay.
Just time, you know, for that, but you,
I'll say.
all in favor? Okay, I just wanted to, put to rest about these special call meetings. They are legal, according to, the Georgia Open Meetings Act. For anyone to call a public meeting, you have to give 24 hours notice. And according to the Blue Ridge City Charter, section 313, basically says the same thing, that we're mandated to give a 24-hour notice. They do not have to be emergency, it does not have to be for an emergency. So we are well within our 24-hour notice. Also, council meetings are for the purpose of city council to make decisions for the city.
Get my question, please.
Also, council meetings are for the purpose of city council to make decisions for the city. The city charter does not specify the number of meetings that an elected official can miss, and it doesn't specify attending meetings is a required duty. However, it does specify in section 310 that the city council shall be vested with all the powers of the city government. The city charter does not specify that it is unethical for a council member to miss a meeting. Section 310 again specifies that the city council has the authority to do business regarding any business of the city. According to the Georgia Open Meetings Act, it's mandatory, or it is not mandatory, to allow public comments at public meetings. However, the city council did pass a policy, or approve a policy, that did allow public comments. So we in no way want to silence anyone. Unfortunately, our charter does say that special call meetings does not allow public comment. Only what's on the agenda. Freedom of speech is everyone's right, but no one has the right to hinder a council meeting, either by bullying, insulting, criticizing, or intimidation tactics. These things could border on the line of hindering the council from effectively making decisions for the city. It's our goal to take whatever measure we must to ensure our meetings are conducted professionally, efficiently, and productively. Political grandstanding has no place in a city council meeting, nor does orchestrated meetings. I want to go on to read an email that was sent to me personally. I say me personally. It was addressed to me. I think everybody got it. It says, I find it appalling that after avoiding citizens in excess of 140 people, council persons are Herndon and Pack have the gall to call a special called meeting to discuss the very issues that should have been discussed at a regular council meeting on August the 8th. The fact that these 4 persons were gutless enough to fail in their duties and job as council persons in the city of Blue Ridge and now expect a redo is beyond disgusting. I would think that beyond being appalling, this meeting is in itself illegal, except that our city attorney, who seems to represent Councilperson Art personally, would sanction anything she brings before him. On the agenda for this so-called special meeting is item number 15, correction to misinformation and issues raised at the August 8th meeting. Whether the statement refers to the 3-hour parking or just issues 140 plus people found important, 4 council members didn't show up for that official meeting, which thus became unofficial, and those members should have no right to address anything that came out of the public forum. They choose not to be there, much like the previous town hall, and we don't want to hear what they have to say. But of course, since Ms. Art silenced Blue Ridge earlier in her term, people attending on Thursday can't speak. Special call meetings in Blue Ridge have become a joke. For council members not doing their job is even more of a joke. Blue Ridge deserves better. So, I've just gone over the laws and what is legal and what's not legal. So for anyone or for the person that wrote this, it was not accurate information. We have not hindered anyone. We don't mind listening, but we do not allow hindrances for the purpose, or hindrances of the council to conduct these meetings for what the purpose of them are. So that's really all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
Time's up. So do you want to have a motion to have a motion to count? Or I haven't read that part, but anyway.
I can do that. Excuse me, that was my email. I would like,
Ma'am, you cannot speak.
that was my email, you just read it to the whole group here.
Yeah.
That was my email. I would like you to read your last response.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that I allow a response to this email. Or that, I'm sorry, that I read the response to this email.
I'll second.
Excuse me though, you said I personally sent that to you. It was sent to the entire council, not
I did
you.
not see that may not have been.
Your name may have been in it, but it was sent to the entire council
Anyway, you're not
and many of the
ready to
people
speak,
that are here.
Can we, Chelsea, could you get a copy of that? The email that I sent back, that my response. I think Mr. Pritchard has it on Tetra News, but anyway, I'll be glad to read it.
Cindy, do you have a copy with you? I was gonna say we don't.
I don't have a copy with me, no. I've got the copy in safekeeping. And I do appreciate the response. I thank you for that response. I will keep it.
Yes, yes. Okay, all right, so this is the motion. Okay, all right. Ms. Sloope, I'm going to try to show you the same respect that you have shown me and the other council members as I tried to respond to your obvious ignorance of the law, among other things. Ms. Sloope, I find it appalling myself that you think you have the right to speak for me or any other council member the way you have in this email. Obviously, from the remarks you have remarks, you don't have a very good understanding of who elected each council member and who the council represents. According to the Blue Ridge City Charter and the Georgia state law, the mayor and council represents the citizens of Blue Ridge. And we answer to them at the polls every 4 years. Ms. Sloope, are you a citizen of Blue Ridge?
No, Fannin County.
Okay.
And I volunteer.
If not, could you explain to me why you think I owe you anything, even listen to you at a meeting? You will not have that. You can all leave. You can't do better than that.
Oh, no.
Now, Ms. Sloope, let me show you how gutless I am of you or anyone else
We already know.
you referred to. I do not represent you. Nor anyone else of the 140 that you reference to that does not live in the city. If you don't like that, then you need to talk to the Georgia lawmakers about changing the law. But simply being a property owner, being a business owner, simply shopping and dining downtown, or just simply being Cindy Sloope does not change the fact that I do not represent you. And since you confirmed in the first paragraph of your email that you don't know the law or what is illegal or not, I actually think it could be you that could be beyond disgusting and appalling, rather than any actions of this council. Why don't you visit some of the 65% of the voters of Blue Ridge that supported me and the rest of the council to find out, and see if they would tell you that they think the people they elected is beyond disgusting and appalling. Why don't you ask them if they think we should answer to you and the other 146 non-citizens? As to my duties, I'm not going to try to explain them as a council, my duties as a council person, to someone that has already proven doesn't have a good understanding of the law. But I will say, I do know what my duties are, and I know exactly who I represent, and Ms. Sloope is not you. I would recommend you read the city charter, and you can pick it up at the city hall any time. That way it may save you the embarrassment of possibly sounding ignorant, especially when you use the word illegal. I am certainly not going to do anything illegal, and I didn't get where I am today by being stupid. I have enough sense to at least ask someone that does have an education in the law before I spout off like you have in this email. Since your email proves you don't have an understanding of what a so-called meeting is, or whether it's legal or not, allow me to educate you. Your text may not portray that you have a good understanding. I'm sorry, your email. The Georgia Open Meetings Act says the following. Basically, I've copied and pasted what it says, but to sum it up, just as I said it before, we have to give 24 hours notice of the meeting. We've not violated the law with these so-called meetings. So, Ms. Sloope, for your information, I had a prior engagement as to why I was not at the meeting. But even if I had not had something more pressing to do, I may not have still shown up at the meeting. Not because I'm a coward of you or anyone else, but for the simple fact that I do not represent you or the 130 other people that did not live in the city that may have been at the meeting. I would have thought that you and everyone else would have got the message loud and clear when the council did not show up for the town hall meeting you referenced to. Again, we don't represent you unless you live in the city. My time is very valuable. Why should I waste it on anyone or anything that I do not represent? And lastly, Ms. Sloope, just so you know, according to Georgia state law, you nor anyone else has the right to speak at a public meeting unless the governing body allows you to. Chapter 14 of the Open Public Meetings Act. The public at all times shall be afforded access in meetings declared open to the public. The council meetings, the council went above and beyond what Georgia law requires that we do when conducting a public meeting. And for the record, I haven't silenced anyone. It was actually me that wrote the council meeting policy that allowed public comments at the meetings. Actually, after a year and a half of unprofessional meetings, the council willingly endured insults, criticism, and threats all from people we don't even represent. There were several members that thought we should consider following Georgia law rather than go above and beyond it and not allow public comments at all. But we decided not to punish the overall general public for the actions of a few that were not even citizens of Blue Ridge. So I added a public comment in the policy, and it was passed unanimously. Ms. Sloope, thank you for your email. It will give me some good points to address in a public meeting. And one last thing, you may be in for a rude awakening if you think the overall average citizen of Blue Ridge truly wants people with your mindset to move to Blue Ridge or Fannin County and try to bully their way into the decision making for this community. People like yourself that could give us average small town people, that cause us average small town people to wish you would go back where you came from.
Shame on him.
Let's move on.
Wow.
Okay, corrections, misinformation issues raised in all its meeting. Okay, I'll make a motion to allow discussion on this agenda item. Okay, until I received this email, and then much to this, what I'm seeing here, I'm very confused and surprised at what's going on. So I just want to address this. Okay, so evidently there's been some misinformation that's circulated around the public and the business owners downtown. So I want to take the opportunity to make sure everyone knows the facts relating to the 3-hour parking. The city currently has a limited 2-hour parking ordinance that hasn't been enforced in years. 4 or 5 months ago, when the council discovered that there was an actual ordinance that limited parking in Blue Ridge, the council discussed it and decided to wait until the street was completed before enforcing it. Early in the spring, before the East Main Street project was complete, the council discussed limited parking again
and no one expressed any concern at that time. From the time in early spring when we discussed enforcing our parking ordinance to the actual meeting we approved to amend the current ordinance, which changed it from 3-hour parking from 2-hour parking and changed the hours from 24/7 to 10 to 3. The council had no negative comments about it. I have created a timeline of the actions the council has taken on limited parking from June 13th to August the 1st. On June 13th, at a regular scheduled meeting, the council voted 4-1 to change the current downtown parking ordinance as stated previously. I also want to note that days after the meeting, the council received emails from people expressing their opposition to the limited parking. Most of the emails were very disrespectful and rude, but nevertheless, I explained the council's logic behind the limited parking. Several mentioned the fact that we needed more parking before the limited parking was put in place. So as I thought about their concerns, it hit me one day that the PAC property was 6 acres of property that joined the current city parking. I made a call to the PACs on Sunday, June the 25th, and the next day I called a meeting to discuss the possibility of leasing the PAC property. To discuss the possibility of leasing the PAC property with the council. So on June 28th at the special called meeting, I introduced the ideal and possibility of leasing the PAC property to the council. Mayor Whitener and Rhonda Thomas did not attend the meeting, but there were 2 senior railway representatives at the meeting, and they were directly told by several council members that the current ordinance was not being enforced, so there would be no problem to hold off on putting the parking signs up, the limited parking signs up. Or at least until the PAC property had, a decision had been made on the PAC property. So from that point, there should have been no reason for the Senate Railway to be concerned about limited parking. This should have given them assurance that we were working on creating a parking lot that could possibly accommodate 400 to 500 more parking spaces. Councilmember Pack and myself both spoke to a representative several days prior to that meeting about the possibility of the city leasing this property, and we confirmed that we did not have a problem holding off on implementing limited parking until we had made that decision. On July the 11th, at a regular scheduled meeting, the first reading to amend the parking ordinance was on the agenda, and the council tabled it. No one expressed concern at that meeting, or the fact that the first reading was on the agenda. On August the 1st, the special call meeting was held primarily to discuss the PAC property and how we should proceed. Nothing was discussed in the meeting about limited parking or signs being put up, nor was it discussed that the second reading would be on the agenda at the next meeting. Actually, on Friday, August the 4th, I specifically told the city clerk to take the second reading off the agenda for Tuesday's meeting, because we may need to amend it again once we work out the PAC property. The second reading of the amendment to the limited parking ordinance was not put on the agenda, and the council had no intentions of approving the second reading of the amendment to the parking ordinance. There's also been some false information that's been circulated around this matter, and honestly, it's done nothing more than cause confusion, frustration, and division in our community. For example, it was stated that the improvements to the PAC property would financially benefit 2 council members, and 2 council members that had adjoining property, and a council member that is distantly related to the PACs, and that we shouldn't even be discussing the possibility of leasing the property, nor vote on it. I'll make a motion to allow more time.
All in favor?
But according to the city attorney, it would not be a conflict for any of the council to discuss and vote on the PAC property. I'm going to read this email. It says that I've been asked whether Rhonda Thomas and Rhonda Kennel are disqualified from voting on the proposed license and option to lease with Lisa and Todd Pack due to ownership of property in the area of the proposed lease property, and whether Bruce Pack, due to being a distant cousin of the Packs, would be disqualified from voting on the same agreement. As you will recall, the same issue came up regarding the 8th Street LLC rezoning application, where Rhonda Thomas owned property across the street, and Angie Arp and Rhonda Kennel owned property in the neighborhood. All voted all of the votes were proper. As I am sure that you will recall, the above attached case provides that ownership of property in the area does not disqualify a council member from voting. As I am sure you'll also recall, Judge Christian specifically ruled that Angie Arkham and Kendall were not disqualified from voting on the Ada Street LSW rezoning application due to ownership of property in the area, and which I hope will settle this issue once and for all. Under the case law authority, it takes a council member or an immediate family member of the council member having a direct financial interest in the transaction to disqualify the council member from voting. An immediate family member would be a spouse, child, parent, or sibling. So I think that clarifies that. It was also very important to the council that we found out that the false information, that false information was given to the CEO of Patriot Rail, which could have had a negative impact on Blue Ridge and Fannin County. The CEO of Patriot Rail was told that the council wanted to run the train out of town. When a main supporter of that has been instrumental in the train's success in Blue Ridge heard the false information that had been given to the CEO, a call was made assuring him that the information he'd been told was not true. The advertorial that I put in the paper last week was sent to him as assurance that the council has done many things. I make a motion to allow one more minute. No. Oh, there. Okay. The advertorial that I put in the paper last week and was sent to the CEO as assurance that the council has done many things to prove our support for the Blue Ridge Railway. He was also assured that the council had already publicly announced in the June 28th meeting that they would not put the limited parking signs up until they had additional parking in place. So that should address all the concerns of 3-hour parking and any concern that we want to run the train out of town. Anything else?
Frank Moore email.
Okay, I'll make a motion to have some comments on this email.
All in favor?
This email was sent to the attorney, and there was a comment made about the Gerard and Davis investigation. It says council's behavior seems a far cry from the recommendations by Gerard and Davis. So I just wanted to go over the recommendations made by Mr. Gerard after the investigation. The city's charter should be revised and updated to ensure that it reflects the modern municipal structure for the city of Blue Ridge. 2, a city administrator, city manager should be hired to take charge of the city's day-to-day business operations. 3, the council and mayor should immediately seek dedicated ethics training provided by the Georgia Municipal Association. Council members should be returned to their previously held commissioner's role. Council members and mayors should act immediately to improve their communication with each other and to put the city's best interests first while putting aside and resolving the personal rifts that have developed between them. Regarding unethical behavior, Mr. Gerard actually did not reference to any member except one. On page 5 in the Phase 1 findings, the following is stated. Another recurring allegation has been made that a member does not live in the city of Blue Ridge and that her apartment loft residence above her furniture store was improperly permitted. Furthermore, it has been noted that the tie-breaking vote that was cast in changing the city's zoning code to allow apartment loft homes above retail spaces, arguably this elected official should have recused themselves from this vote due to the appearance of impropriety as law department was implicated in the vote. However, having the appearance of impropriety is not illegal. So, I I only say this because they're obviously from this email and statements made, there are folks out there that thinks that the council, or a member or the council, is making unethical decisions. No council member here has made an unethical decision except possibly the one you referred to. However, he said himself, an unethical act is not an illegal act. So, that's all I have to say on that.
Okay, anybody else have something to say? I'll save it for something else. Okay, we're gonna add the resolution. If not, the next one, your number 17 is the pack property, and I would suggest Linda stay for that too, in case she's trying to sneak out of here. The resolution, a resolution of the mayor and city council of Blue Ridge for the purpose of submitting the updated service delivery strategy for Fannin County and the cities of Blue Ridge, McCaysville, and Morganton. Whereas the Fannin County and the cities of Blue Ridge, McCaysville, and Morganton adopted a service delivery strategy pursuant to the requirements set forth for the General Assembly in the House Bill 489, codified at OCGA 36-70-20. Which document was last updated in 2013. And whereas Fannin County and the cities of Blue Ridge, McCaysville, and Morganton have reviewed the existing service and delivery strategy and have made necessary updates to the service and delivery strategy agreements. And whereas the city of Blue Ridge finds it to be in the public interest to approve the updated service delivery strategy and all included agreements. Now therefore be it resolved, and it is hereby resolved by the city of Blue Ridge, that the update of the service and delivery strategy for Fannin County and the cities of Blue Ridge, McCaysville, and Morganton is approved. That the transmission of the updated service delivery strategy agreements attached here to the Department of the Community Affairs is approved, and that the mayor of the city of Blue Ridge is authorized to execute this resolution and any necessary paperwork and to submit same to DCA. Do I have an approval for the resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, and I'm gonna note that that is the same pretty much resolution that McCaysville and Morganton also did, in case there's a question. Ms. Thomas, is there anything else that we need for the service and delivery? We're good, just signatures?
We'll have about 25 sheets that you don't see will need to sign, but we'll get with y'all after your meeting.
Pack property lease and parking.
Okay, we have a lease. I mean, the attorney has launched a lease. The PACs have looked over it, and the changes that they wanted have been made. So really, we just have to decide if we want to enter into. This is not for the actual lease of the property. It's a contract to go into to do the due diligence that Rhonda mentioned. So it's a lease agreement, an option to lease, but it's not actually the lease, the actual lease that's binding us to the monthly.
Okay, well, I do have one question, and I saw in David Sopin's email that there was a question about the property taxes, I guess.
Yes, they want the city to take the property tax.
But it's for leasing. A piece of property?
Well, they just basically want that incorporated into so basically.
What's wrong with them just adding it into their lease fee? I think that would be more appropriate than us paying somebody's property taxes. Do you have an objection to doing that?
They were supposed to, according to my client yesterday, I'm waiting on a revised copy back, and I haven't seen it yet, so I can't comment at this point.
Okay, but I think it said it was about $1,500 and then whatever the cities, but I don't think we can just take those off the tax digest because the city will be leasing, right?
We were setting it up like a triple net lease, which would be a payment, insurance, and taxes, but since there's no physical structure being leased, there would be no hazard insurance, but there will have to be liability insurance.
Was not added as a CAM or something, sort of like a CAM charge, just for that?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it would just send it back as a note. We haven't seen the
I think that
title.
would be a better way to do it rather than us just being obligated for the taxes or something. That's my opinion. Does anybody have a different?
Well, I just said that I would just bring it for y'all if y'all, wanted to continue to work with the lease. I mean, on top of the.
So it looks like that's probably gonna be another $150 a month, roughly.
I think it's around about $1,500 a $200 a month, that's just county.
The county and cities is probably a third of that, another 500, so 2,000, so maybe almost $200 a month extra. Probably shouldn't be more than that. Are they asking for insurance too?
They're asking that y'all maintain liability insurance.
And we would do that.
Entity named them as an insured party.
I think the city attorney said that we could actually do that, but there's a way around it. Well, you can talk to me about that.
You can add liability insurance to a property that you're leasing.
Oh, yeah, but adding them on to something.
You can put them as additional insured.
Well, that can be, I'm sure we can do it the correct way, so, but anyway,
And Mayor, right now, I do want to say I sent notice to Kelsey this morning. I will not be voting on this issue because I feel like it will improve my property value. So I am going to refrain from voting on any issue involving this from here on out. So,
so, you know, I hate to keep putting this off, so we really need to make a decision. I'm not saying now, you know, if you don't want to, y'all want to think about this, but, then again, do we want to go ahead and vote to, once we get the contract? I mean, do we want to go ahead and vote on it today, or do we want to wait to even be able to do our due diligence? We can't do anything until, on that property, until we have some kind of permission from them to begin clearing it. And that brings me to something else. I've got two prices on the clearing. It's basically, both of them said about the same thing, anywhere from $1,000 to $1,200 per day, could take 7 to 10 days. So you're looking at about $10,000 to $12,000 to clear it off.
So,
And Mr. Johnson Pagan is it
That math is not correct. How can you mean that 20 days times 1,200 is not 12,000?
I'm sorry, I said 10, I'm sorry, excuse me, 10 days, 7 to 10 days, at 1,000 to 1,200 per day. Johnson Paving also gave me a price for 1 acre of base, 4 inches thick, would be about $25,000 to $27,000. So, it's gonna take 27, 25, around about $40,000 at least to do this.
That math's not correct either.
my question is, what about the permitting? Are we gonna just go down there and do whatever, or are we gonna go through the proper steps of permitting?
Well, there's no permitting. Anyway, let me read something. There's no permitting to use your property. Don, I think I've mentioned that to you before, but I'm gonna tell you, I will
You're
read what.
permitting to use your property?
Permitting?
It doesn't say that you don't have to
You don't-
permit when you've got water on it?
No, you do not. You just go with the 50-foot setbacks.
Are you clearing more than 1 acre at a time? I'm not.
No, absolutely not.
How much are you clearing at one time?
First of all, we don't allow public comments. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and read to you what,
I'm for
Matt
you
said
to make
at
it
the
clear.
last
I'm
meeting.
for your process. I'm
Okay,
trying to help
okay.
you.
Johnny, would you mind,
Let me have her read this. Read what you've got.
okay,
Because I've never heard that you can just go do whatever and disturb water and all
we're not
this.
disturbing water, and so I don't know what, you know, and maybe if you read the email from Matt, you'd know, but anyway, this is, from Matt Smith. The last meeting, we asked Matt to, give us some information on the property, where we can have an idea of how much use of the property we have. So, he says, please see the attached map that shows the tax property that is being looked at for the potential city parking lot expansion. We have reviewed the mapping files for potential wetlands, state waters, and floodplains, and have overlaid this information on this map. Unfortunately, there is limited information for this particular property. We have shown the information that we did find, and then also made some assumptions for the rest of the property. Based on the information that we found, there are no defined floodplains or wetlands associated with this property. This doesn't guarantee that there are not wetlands on the site, but rather just lets us know that none have been identified and mapped as of yet. The other information that we found on the property, soils map, topo, etc., seems to lean toward that seems to lean toward there not being any wetland present. However, we do feel like there are state waters on this property. The maps from EPA show the ditch along East Main Street as being a state water in which would have a 50-foot buffer for each side associated with it. We also know that there is at least one drainage pipe that crosses 80th Street and the railroad track and enters the back property. We are unaware of the exact route of the water ditch once it enters the property, but have made an assumption that it stays close to the property line or the area currently leased by McClure's. We feel that the stream would also be categorized as state water. For both of these areas, we have blocked off 50 feet from the edge of the creek stream and shown this as buffered areas that should not be disturbed. If you take off the property within the buffers and the area that McClure's is currently using, it leaves you with approximately 4.3 acres of the total 6+ acres. This is a conservative boundary that could be moved further out if a more detailed survey were conducted on the property. This is just as accurate as you can get from within this office. You can also, you may also want to talk to Roy about any other limitations about the city ordinances, property line setbacks, for example. Please note that this is a best approximation for what would likely be usable property based on the information we have available. If there are any other wet areas, creeks, drainage ditches, or otherwise questionable areas that are discovered, I would make sure that you take caution before doing any tree clearing or dirt movement. Lastly, if you disturb more than 1 acre of dirt, then a land disturbance permit will be required. If you stay under the 1 acre threshold, no permit is required. Also, if you're just doing bush hogging or clearing, that does not involve stump removal, no land disturber permit is required. Please let me know if you have any questions or need any additional information. I'll be glad to make any changes that you like to this map before tomorrow's meeting. And then he sent a map of the property. Of course, basically we've seen that the last meeting. But he said about 4.3 acres would be usable, and that would be basically with a 50-foot buffer all the way around the left side of the property, coming down from the railroad tracks down by McClure's, all the way along to East Main Street, and then going to the property.
And of course, it sounds like Matt, once he gets in there doing the due diligence, will be able to tell us an approximate, because he said he's doing that all from satellite-based programs, etc. So once he goes to the location,
This is his due diligence.
once he, that's it, that's the only due diligence you're doing?
That's what he done. Yeah, I asked him to do it after the meeting. I said, could you give us, do whatever you need to do? And yes, so at this point, we just got to decide. We know that there's going to be approximately 4 acres that we can use. That's going to keep us 50 foot off the, and we're not going to go in and do, we've all agreed for the cost, we're not going to go in and clear 4 acres and gravel it. We could start at 1 acre at a time if this is about where we want to go, and that'll keep us within that'll make it more simple.
So if we're going to do that, should we not maybe negotiate the lease if we're just going to use 1 acre instead of leasing the entire 6 acres? Should we possibly look at leasing 1 acre that we're going to use? And then
I've
maybe
already tried to do that, talk to them, they just want to lease the whole thing.
So is $2,500 a month or whatever with taxes and everything, is that worth an acre? I just have to ask.
Well, then I guess then we're back to this. This council is just trying, we've been hearing parking problems for, so this was just something that came up that could be a temporary solution, a long-term solution. I mean, you've got 2 choices. Either we just continue to what we have for 7-8 years, parking is what it is, build a parking deck as you prefer, or lease this property, or both, or nothing.
And I don't think anybody, I'm sorry, I shouldn't talk over you, but I don't think anybody has a problem with leasing the property. I just think that I have a problem if we don't do it correctly, because I do know, and I bet we can attest to this, if you don't do things correctly, because we had some concrete that got dumped, and they told us the fine would be the next time. And there's concrete in that place. There are concrete pieces, huge pieces, so you've got to remove a lot of stuff. I don't know what else in there, and I'm not climbing in there to see, it's pretty rough.
Well, I think if we do this, then we will have professionals do it.
Well, I would hope so.
Yes.
but they're gonna
This council does have a history
I
of
think you're
doing
gonna
things
want
right.
permitting, I don't think you're gonna have people that really wanna go
Well,
and not get the proper permit.
If we approve this, then we will, the person that raised it probably actually,
I would hope.
yes.
But I don't think he's gonna do it for $1,200 a day if it's gonna have permitting. But, just saying, we know what it is when EPD sends
Well,
it in.
Right. So at this point, though, are we gonna continue to talk about it next month, or are we gonna finally take some action one way or another? I've spent time into this, Mr. Pratt spent time into this, so let's do it or let's don't. I mean, we've had people say, hey, we need parking, and we need it now. So,
And since we're on parking, I would like to pull, well, you guys were voting on that, but I had passed this out last week at our meeting and at public forum, and here are some copies for you guys. They're aerial shots of this property. Several years ago, we looked at this, had some potential to have money coming in. Shows this property, which is a $1.2 million property, and we had Rick LaRosa prepared a parking deck idea, and it could actually go on this side over here. Could fit up to 350 cars, if I recall. And I also am working with a civil engineer who might volunteer time to even put into this. This is for a more long-term. I think what they're discussing is more short-term, but this could be a long-term parking improvement for the city in conjunction with our municipal parking down there, even if we keep that. So just an option, something to think about.
well, on that, I remember this meeting, and I actually support that. I can't remember what the other members do, but it still will cost a lot of money.
Well, at the beginning, when we first talked about it, when Mr. Simons was in office and Mr. Hilton, they did the same thing. They were actually gonna help us grade that down to level because they looked at the plans and at least get 110 parking places, I think, on the bottom level, just to get a start. The wall was gonna be kind of expensive, but then there was a grant that we could apply for that was like almost $20,000. But it got shot down, but that's 110 parking places with what we threw out, and it gave you some green space on the corners.
Well, I mean, I actually talked to, before this Pack property was in the picture, or before I was aware of it, I talked to Roy about this. We walked out there and we talked about taking that sort of a share off, or the drive-through off, and maybe doing all that. I do recall, you know, a couple of members saying, well, I'm not sure if we want to do that, but, you know, so, you know, I'm sort of looking at this idea.
Yeah, I think at the time, people didn't want to get rid of the green space, but I think there comes a time and place where you have to say, yeah, 2 trees up there are awesome, but we need parking. And then we still have, yeah, the trees are in bad shape. One actually failed, we had to cut it down anyway, so, but there's still plenty of green space on this side, so it's not like you're taking away a lot of the green space for the city, you still, you know, you can still have all this, so. Well, it's just an option to look at.
And you tie it back into City Hall so it doesn't look intrusive. And I think Rick's plan did that, so that the deck on the top level was just flush with City Hall and just looked like an extension of City Hall.
All right, well, then what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna say anything else about this property. If whoever wants to proceed with it, if you want to proceed with it, then I've done my part, and you know, so I think it's a good idea. I think it would be a good thing, regardless. Okay, so if you want to do,
I don't get to make a motion, remember? I don't get to make a motion.
No, if you want to do the things, the permitting and all that if you want to do that, then.
I don't want us in trouble. I do not want to pay any fines. And,
I understand all that.
How about this? How about we bring Roy out and get some advice from him, how he feels about trying to do it without, because I don't think he would be comfortable doing it without some permitting. Permitting may not be that expensive. It's worth a shot.
I'm not opposed to doing things, but I, you know, I mean, nobody's going to direct us in a way that from the engineer to the people that's doing the grading. I mean, they're going to get whatever permits they need.
Those take time.
Well,
I mean, if you want to start, you start your due diligence. You approve this, you move forward, you get some due diligence done, you may go, where we got 6 weeks?
Well, we have to approve this right here to even do due diligence, anything on their property.
I don't disagree with you. I am not, I think you need to be finding solutions. If that's one of them, And this is one of them, I would start with both of them. I mean, I don't think 500 parking places would be too many for the city of Blue Ridge right now on festivals and things like that. Some people
Okay,
have an opinion besides me.
I'll talk to,
Rodney.
I'm gonna talk to you and Roy, and we'll see, you know, what we do, if we wanna do this, what we do have to do. And at the next meeting, then let's just make a decision one way or the other, if we're gonna proceed or not.
So, let me ask, what is, other than the permitting, that's my concern in mind, because we're asking everybody else to do permitting when they do land disturbance and things like that, they have to follow all the rules, I think we should follow the same rules. But is there something else, is it the money? Does somebody have an objection to what we're gonna be spending on it? Is that a problem? Yes, no? You wanna say something, Rodney? It's your opportunity.
I mean, we have a park.
I know. Think you're right. So is it the money, is that a problem, or is it?
Money's always a problem.
But is that what?
Sometimes you gotta buy the bullet, do it too.
So are you comfortable with the price? Are you comfortable with, if this was a perfect world, and we don't have to do any permitting, as Angie said, and we can spend $12,000 or
The
whatever,
permit is if
$20,000?
you disturb over an acre of property. Bush hogging, your property is not permitted, you don't have a permit
We
for
can
that.
find this all out in due diligence, see
But-
what we have.
But I guess if it's $12,000 or $20,000, so if that's all it is, let's hope that's all it is. Does somebody have a problem with it?
We don't have to go into a contract to find out what we have to do. Again, it is not, we don't have to, I know, but this is, you know, if this is to go on the property and actually start taking trees out, you know, finding where the drain issues are, fixing, you know, anything like that.
Let me back up and say, no matter whether we ever park there or not, we've got to fix a stormwater problem. And we're gonna have to go on that property and fix a stormwater problem. And I don't know if somebody has a better solution, but that area has got to be cleaned up to help us get our water on down.
Well, by having this lease with them, we can do whatever we need to. If we don't have this lease, then we have to get, I mean, we can do whatever we need to do to fix that.
So
But
is that a
this-
motion to get that lease? I mean, I'm just asking, do you have a motion?
Well,
to move
you
forward?
know,
Well,
yes, we can go ahead and approve, we can go ahead and approve this. Now, it doesn't have the, it stated, like you said, to add the taxes into monthly, which is got it stated 2,000, first year 1,500, thereafter 2,000.
Making your motion,
I'll make a motion, Angie and Johnny both resign immediately.
We strike through those amounts and we made that in our motion to add that as a CAM charge, or do you have another
That
verbiage?
would be just an offer for y'all back to us.
Okay, so just a negotiation
with my client, but we have to see.
Okay, so if she makes it in the form of a motion, you can take that motion and take it back to your client.
And from our standpoint, we can't have anybody doing work on our property when it's not permitted, because we're not gonna be liable.
Yeah, well.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and the other thing I guess would be, we need to get the insurance on it, and this contract will allow us to do that. It should, right?
Yes.
Because I don't think they really want somebody walking around down there that might get hurt, okay. So I think you make that in your motion, if you want to do a motion to move forward, and you add that to it as a, if Kim, is that the verb, or do you want some other, do you want it in some other word, or just to add the taxes in a monthly fee to cover county and city taxes?
And I have been referring to your attorney just because I think it will save time.
But you're here.
Well, I know
I'm
that
sorry
I
to put you
cannot
on the
speak-
spot.
I can't speak for, you know, your side of the table. I can tell you for our side of the table that we're going to have a letter of indemnification before you can go on it.
Okay.
And we're going to have something in it, and based on y'all's discussion, I'm going to go back and reread it to make sure that all applicable permits have been obtained before anything is removed. Because if even if y'all are taking stuff off during your due diligence period to see what's underlying there may have to be permits.
Well, there's a gas tank somewhere, somebody told me. I
And
don't-
there's a gas line, and the gas tanks have been removed.
Okay, they,
All
all of
gas
them?
tanks have been removed, but, there's a natural gas line that's got to be taken into account when y'all are doing so, but, there's setbacks. I don't know where y'all are specifically talking about doing your first acre, and we have to know that. I mean, that would need to be delineated. And then, you know, have highest confidence in Carter and Sloope. So if they come in and they say, you know, you got to remediate this many inches, this many inches, they'll know what they're doing. But we got to make sure that that's in place, because EPD doesn't really care who screwed it up, they'll just find it.
And they'll find both of us.
So maybe it would be better then that you, because I'm sure that all this lease does is just give us the ability to start our due diligence as far as anything that we permitted, anything. But maybe it would be better for you to put what you want us to do specifically, in the lease.
Well, I did mark on one, and I understood that it was sent back to y'all's attorney. I haven't seen the revision, and so I don't know if it was
Okay.
incorporated, and then based on what we just discussed, I've got to go back and reread one paragraph.
So we may just have to put it off
I
to
think
next.
we need to wait until
Okay.
it's correct, and then we
Okay.
vote on what is actually in writing.
Okay.
We have the copy here of you're correct of what you put, but evidently he didn't send it back to you, so that's fine, we can wait. Okay.
Okay, city streets. Was there anything else on tax property? City streets?
I just wanted to give an update that, I talked to, Justin at Johnson Paving, and they're starting this week, the things that we've already approved, so some street work will start this week. Actually,
I talked to them yesterday, and they're starting today, I believe.
Right, they're now working. Storm drains.
Storm drains also, Matt sent an email. I asked him, because we talked about last month about starting at the end portion of behind the co-op and going on down toward the Pike property. Asked him to try to give us a price on that. So this email, he's got phase 1 schedule to start September 2017. Easement and plats. Got a timeline here. He's got the construction budget for phase 1 should be around $325. That's for 500 linear feet of storm drain boxes, culverts, pipes with junction boxes, inlets, and head walls. This phase is approximately 35% of the total length of the project. It's the heaviest cost per linear foot due to the fact that pipes, boxes, culverts must get larger for the discharge in, which they're not currently small ones. The budget number has some cushion in it, but should allow for adequate funding even if construction prices continue to escalate over the next 6 months. He did say that, you know, of course, it has to be put out to bid. He's got a permitting easements and plats to be done October, November. Easement acquisitions November, advertised for bid November to December, execution of contract docs December to January, state of construction June to February, completion of construction April 2018. So if we wanted to proceed and start on this, he's got it all out here. Just need to decide that's what we want to do.
Where's the money coming from?
T-O-N
How are we paying for it?
at City Clerk.
Well, we do have the $850,000. What we will by the end of the year we'll have our $400,000 from the sale of Marina property. We've still got steel tax. The SPOS money will go to the streets. So we still have money.
I can't.
If our bid came in for the streets at around about,
Okay.
let's just say 300 for everything that we passed so far, and then we had to put another 100,000 on it, a couple 100,000 on it. We still will have some room there. I don't know that we'll have it all, but if it's going all the way into April, then the SPOS money can go into that for 4 months, which is about $25,000 a month.
Can I ask that rather than bringing this out of city coffers, we go after a $100 grant? Or an ARC grant. ARC is up to $750,000 now, I believe, but I'm not mistaken, it's $750,000.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we should, because, you know, especially in light of the recent water department
This is gonna be
issues.
expensive. This is not gonna be a phase 1. You're gonna have to do the other phases of it. So I think you just need to go after an ARC grant that'll get you through the whole project and get support and try to make it happen. I really have a problem with tapping into the city coffers to where we don't have enough money to be able to make it. I just, does anybody have a problem with that? Does anybody have a better solution? Do you have money somewhere I don't know about? Because I keep hearing about all this money.
Well, we do, I know,
I know
what
money
we got,
But we
but
can have emergencies that can take it in a heartbeat too.
true.
So, can you make a motion to seek grants for this project?
I don't think we have to make a motion to do that. I think if you want to do that, you
Yeah,
can.
you do. You have to do it in your minutes. It'll, yes.
To look into.
To go ahead and apply for grants, yes. You'll have to. And then you'll have to come back and prove somebody got the grant. Yes, you do want to go ahead and start.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve, Mayor Whitener and staff at City Hall pursue grants for the stormwater project, and, we will pay for that.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? So that way we can let Matt help us even work on grants.
Okay.
City Clerk.
I have we just need to decide if we want to do this, proceed with improvements to the playground at the pool. It's not, I had someone call, I don't know, a month ago, kind of complaining because we're not handicap compliance with the pool or the playground. I have a design here that I'm waiting for everybody to look at. The price on it is around about the same as down at the downtown. It's about $100,000. It can be dwindled down. There's a lot of stuff here, so that can be cut down to whatever we want it to be cut down to. But if everybody would just look at these, I'll leave these. Just look at this stuff. Try to decide if we want to do it or not.
Why is the pool not in compliance with ADA? We have an ADA chair there.
I don't know if it is or not. This was just a complaint that I had about it, that there's no steps, and that thing doesn't work.
Has somebody come in and service? I'll check on that, because we should be ADA compliant there. That's why we put in that chair. It was, if I remember right.
I think we've got some issues with the pool itself, too.
We do, that's why I hate to
We
spend
may just
that.
have to tear the whole thing out.
I hope we don't. That's why I hate to see us spend $100,000 on the playground if we have to redo the pool. But it's still leaking water. We're still having to put water in it every day. So there's definitely going to be some major work that's got to be done.
And my thoughts on the playground, we have so many needs right now, and every department has major needs, and and then like I said, we have issues at the water department. I just don't feel like we can spend another $100,000 when we spend so much. The children have a really nice playground down here where they can play. So I feel like our money can be spent in better places personally.
Executive session if needed. Do we need an executive session? We do. Okay.
I'll make a motion to go in executive session for personnel.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Give Steve Mull a 39-cent raise.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
I'd like to, the PD has lost 2 part-timers. I'd like to make the motion that we hire Joel Pack and Ricky Henry as part-time police officers at starting rate for part-time.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Would you want this person from the video, would you want to state what the first starting rate is? 13.50? No, $13? It must be 13. Robin? It's right here. Matthew was from $13.
Okay. 13, is it 13 even?
13 even. It's 13.50, but it's 13 even. There's, so that must be.
Yeah, $13 an hour.
Thank you. Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Do I have a motion? All in favor?
Hey, Ms. Sloope, can I ask you a couple questions?
Yes, you can.
why would you think that Patrick Crane would ask for your resignation? I mean, why do you think he did it?
I do not have a clue.
He was a representative at the podium for the concerned citizens of Blue Ridge. When he read everything from that paper, he states you wrote it. Is that true?
I didn't read anything, but if anybody asks me questions and I know the answer, I'll be glad to give it to him.
But when he was at the podium, you did not write what he read? Was that the first time you heard that, like when he was asking about the investigation?
It's common knowledge.
Well, no, but he was reading from a piece of paper. Did you write it? Huh?
I'm sorry.
No, did you write it? I mean, just yes or no?
Anything? No, I did not.
Okay, so what he, that's all I was asking. If what he read, you did not write it for him. Okay, were you a part of the concerned citizens of Blue Ridge?
I'm not part of anything, except council.
Okay, so you weren't involved in any way? He says that Patrick Crane said you were a member of the concerned citizens of Blue.
No, I wasn't a member of anything.
Okay, so you never attended any of the meetings?
Absolutely not.
What about you, Chief, while I have you?
No, sir, I didn't.
Okay, because he made the accusation.
I heard what you was.
All right, he made the accusation, the man did.
He's made lots of accusations. He's made accusations that the mayor don't live in the city too.
Well, I understand, but he said when you were at he was at the podium, he was reading what you wrote. I'm just saying what he said. He said that night he was.
Have my signature on it or something?
He says he has the documents.
Oh, well, you know what? Anybody can type up a document or write a document.
Okay, he has made accusations. I interviewed him for 2 hours.
He's made him right here in front of us.
Okay, all right. Do you know why he would ask for your resignation? Why? I mean, these are things he's doing. I mean, why are you getting angry at me?
Reason because it's ridiculous. Because we're talking about a man that's asked for all of our resignations.
I'm doing what?
Whatever you do best is what you're doing. So I mean, you know.
I didn't stand up and make an outburst. All right. Right now, I don't care. I had a 2-hour interview. He said that the day that he read that from the podium, his quote to me is you, Councilmember Pack, and Councilwoman Art knew he was reading that for the concerned citizens of Blue Ridge. You were not aware that day when he came to the podium and read what he read concerning the mayor, and then you guys made a motion. You were not aware of any of that.
No, I don't think I was aware.
He uses your name. I'm going to be candid.
Oh, I know. And I might have heard someone say that he might do that. Or he might even said it when he came in here. But I didn't have anything to do with him doing any of that.
But you weren't a member of the concerned citizens of Blue Ridge. You didn't attend any meetings they had?
No, I did not.
Okay. But I get accused. I'm going to say, like, I get accused of not coming and asking you guys the questions. I get accused of that. Why don't I come? That was all over. So I'm just asking because he made the accusations.
It's an accusation. It's not true.
I believe you.